Duke's on the schedule. That would be the one game that I would say is almost a certain win.
Yeah.
It's not, but almost a certain win. Miami can beat all these teams. They could lose to everybody else besides Duke. So the ceiling is 8-4. The basement is 4-8. I would be more apt to think that they could go 8-4 than 4-8 for sure. My guess would be 7-5, maybe 6-6, because my thought would be 7-5, really, because they're better than Georgia Tech, Florida State, and Virginia Tech, but they could trip up but they could beat Pitt.
Like
so anyway,
play like it.
The probability is a loss, probably one. So that's suddenly 7-5. Manny Diaz stays under those conditions, it sounds like.
Yeah. So to the question, how many more losses, says Jordan, how many more losses will it take to get Manny Diaz fired? 1 loss, 2, 3, 4 of the remaining 5. If you lose 4 of the remaining 5, you got to go. Because with if you lose 4 of the remaining 5, that means you're going to have at least consecutive losses somewhere. So you trip up and you're not able to right the ship. So it doesn't really matter which 2 in a row. But, again, if you're discounting Duke, because I am as well, that they're atrocious, that means you're going to lose the next 4 in a row. You know what I mean? But I honestly, of these 5, that would be at Pitt, home to Georgia Tech, at Florida State, home to Virginia Tech on senior night, and then at Duke. I would think it would take at least 3, including 2 of them being bad and 1 of them being Florida State. And by bad, I mean 20 or more. You know what I mean? That's what I would think. At a minimum, 3 losses, 2 of them being 20 or more, and losing Florida State in there as well. 4 out of the 5, and if 4 of the 5 includes Duke, you got to go. You know what I mean? That's sorry, buddy. Sorry. No. If there's any scenario where Duke is one of those losses, if it's 3 or 4, you got to go. If it's 2, you can hand wave it off, even though you shouldn't. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's going to take at least 3, and 2 of them being bad. And again, remember back to 2015, it took the worst loss in program history to incite Blake James to action and fire Al Golden, because he had come out that week and said, regardless of what happens, he's going to be the coach the remainder of this year. And then 58-0 happened, and then he got fired, which is why when last week he hand-selected these journalists. It was great. That was after our show last week. So Chris Stock from Inside the U and a couple other journalists individually asked for interviews or approached the athletic director, including Chris Stock did at the basketball game last Wednesday night for an in-person interview. Declined all of those. Okay, fine. You're going to go radio silent. You're supposed to speak to the media about something else on Tuesday, but obviously could ask about football. Cool. Then Blake James handpicks some journalists, Miami Herald, Sun Sentinel, Associated Press, and does a phone presser with these people on Friday ahead of the game. For public relations, I mean, it's a PR stunt, but why? What are you doing? And so then he's talking about Manny knows we need to win more and but there's a culture here and he's building a good culture. And then was asked directly in the same way he was about Al Golden previously. So, Blake, can you guarantee that Manny Diaz is going to be the coach through the remainder of this season? I can't actually do that because which, okay, you learned from 2015 where you said there's nothing that can happen for me to fire Al Golden. And Dabo Swinney and Clemson said, hold my beer real quick. And you saw that. This year, he's not going to give Manny Diaz that assurance, pretty much throw him under the bus on Friday before a big game on Saturday against a ranked team at home. What are you doing, Blake James? And that's its own conversation that I'm still editing this piece from Juice Cane 300, which we will talk about hopefully either tomorrow or Friday on the website. So be sure that you check on that because you're not going to want to miss that. But like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And to the end of what are you doing, 2 losses will probably back up the, well, I didn't guarantee that it's going to be here, but it's only 2 more losses. That's 6-6. We're going to go to a bowl game, see what happens, continue to recruit, continue to build and develop, go for next year, see what happens. 3, 5, and 7, right? Probably go to a bowl game because of APR, because Miami is a great academic institution, even though that's been slipping under President Julio Frank, which nobody's talking about and is crazy, but whatever. But still, the APR for the football program is high enough. We're at 5 and 7. We're going to go to a bowl game. Yeah, we had a bunch of things. And that's where, and the margins, like if things are all things being equal, you're going to start hearing all of the other things to make it unequal. Well, Derek King got injured. Well, Bubba Bolden. Well, Donald Chaney. You're going to hear about all these injuries and all these other things for being mitigating circumstances to keep him, Manny Diaz, after a 5 and 7 season in this scenario. So for me, yeah, it's going to take 3 losses. 2 of them got to be more than 20, and one of them has to be Florida State to really even have the conversation. But I don't even think that that would be enough of a conversation based upon Blake James's propensity for stability over change, even when change would be the acceptable path forward or the intelligent path forward for the program.
To be one of those teams that earns a bowl invitation at 5 and 7 almost shines a spotlight in a negative sense. I don't know. It becomes kind of a joke that, oh yeah, they're a bowl team. They're 5 and 7, even though it is a positive parameter that they've set in place to select those teams. I like that portion of it, but it's just
right.